that's why you're here, is because I want to ask, those of you, specifically those of you that are adults with autism, things that concern you, things that maybe you've experienced in life when dealing with maybe a police officer or a fireman or a paramedic, if somebody drives an ambulance, or a doctor, anything along those lines. I want to kind of hear about those things, or things that you think police officers should know about you or adults with autism, because that's my focus.
The purpose of what we're trying to do with each one of these meetings is be able to expose this group to some program or research project or service that SARRC provides, and then be able to provide their input, their perspective, their voice. What do we miss? What's good about it? What's not good about it? The idea is to make sure that the autistic perspective is a part of the decision-making process. There was a really awful story that was all over national news that happened right here in Buckeye in the West Valley. There was a police officer that stopped a young man. He was probably about 14, 15 years old in a park. And this young man was he had like a stick like this that he was kind of like stimming on, or he was kind of moving back and forth like this. And he stopped him and he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the kid wasn't making eye contact, right? Was engaging in self-stimulatory behavior, and then started to get kind of scared. And the officer kept, "What are you doing? Look at me. I'm telling you, I'm talking to you. You're supposed to look at me." And this kid started to get, "Well, am I in trouble?" And then the kid got really scared and ran. It's like the worst thing you can do around a police officer. So the police officer chased him down, and he ended up tackling him to the ground, and this guy got hurt. And the autism community, when this happened, was really adamant. They said, we need to train police officers in what autism is. We've got to do better at training people, police officers, how to interact with people with autism. And I think we would all agree with that, but I think what most people had in mind is that we need to take police officers in a room like this, sit them at a table, and do a 3-hour PowerPoint presentation on what is autism. And if you know anything about behavior change, that's not going to change anybody's behavior. It might give them some new knowledge, it might give them some things to think about, but it's not actually going to change behavior. I think what you would say, we were considered the subject matter experts on autism for the development of this project. What we're hoping you guys to do today is be the subject matter experts to give some feedback on the project. And then as TJ starts working on this next portion for adults, you become the subject matter experts in addition to us as SARRC, so that we're actually incorporating people with autism to get input into what's being developed.
Before, if someone was acting a way like Danny described, fiddling, playing with something, not looking at the officer, or maybe looking away, okay, or maybe asking questions to our questions, we were always taught they're lying, they might be drunk, they might be on drugs. That was our 3 choices. Now we know to go further into that discussion. Yeah, they might still be lying, they might be on drugs, they might be a criminal trying to run away from us, but could they have autism? And what kinds of questions can we ask, and what kind of things can we look for? We're not making them doctors. We're just giving them enough information to ask some more questions and maybe take a couple more seconds and identify that. And then we can change how we move from there.
If you guys want to just bring your chair out.
I have to kind of stay back here and run it, but Lon can be in here and we may be on.
Hi, my name is Danny Oakbrook. I'm the president. We'll discuss what exactly autism is. Next, all ethnic and socioeconomic groups. That means that anyone who encounters.
Hey man, what's your name?
Those lights, they hurt my head.
What are you talking about? What lights?
Please, stop the lights.
Hey man, shut the lights off on the car for me.
That's better. Thanks.
So if I listen and understand what's going on, it can help guide me as a law enforcement officer down the path that I need to make this interaction better. If I would have pressed the issue with a very hard style, TJ can actually make him take off out of the park. And what we end up doing is we do a rewind and go, okay, let's start over. It's not the outcome that we wanted. Oops.
Perhaps there are some other techniques you can try. Remember, you should be mindful of what you say while keeping a soft tone. It's also good practice to give the person space, as well as more time than usual to respond. Let's try again.
So we'll rewind it and start over. So I can go down all kinds of different questions, right? If I go too hard, I'm gonna have issues. If I ask for ID, I start looking for bits and pieces, give me an idea of what's going on. Anything in her behavior that you all want to key in on? What are you seeing?
Stimming.
How?
Because like her finger is like moving.
Yeah. And if I try to push,
Just give me a minute. I need to finish the lines.
she's even telling me what she needs, right? If I push the issue, she'll storm out of here, right?
Look, you're upsetting me. Just forget it.
The officer didn't do it right.
Maybe this could have been handled a better way.
Rewind.
Try not
I have autism. Can you take your sheet with me?
Absolutely. You take the time that you need, and let me know when you're ready to toss her.
Thank you for being patient with me. I have to count all the lines before I can talk to people.
No problem.
You can't just memorize what to do, because how you respond, TJ's controlling the person with autism's response on the screen. You get it right, TJ's gonna give that person the information that you're looking for. You get it wrong, TJ's gonna make that person run off. So that this is the dynamic side of this thing that, like, again, if you go back to when I first met Lon and he's showing me some of their other modules that appealed to me, because that's how you train behavior. You have to reinforce the right behavior, you have to ignore the wrong, right? It's the same kind of
This
thing.
is such a cool thing.
That what police officers need to do is stop, slow down, take a look at cues. It could be something you're wearing, it could be self-stimulatory behavior, it could be rocking back and forth, it could be nonverbal, it could be somebody's PEX machine, right? The point is, it's not that every person with autism is going to be wearing a bracelet.
So the response report you respond to the Fat Mart 809 Laurel Street for a report of a retail theft.
Hey officer, there's something wrong with this kid. He's trying to steal candy. I don't know what his problem is.
What are you seeing?
Yeah, I was just seeing him.
What are you seeing?
He was just stemming on like his.
Say that again.
He was just stemming on his candy bar.
He's what? Say it again. You're right.
Self-stimulation.
He's stimming, right? He's picking up on it. That's the stuff that I'm looking for.
What's going on, man? So what's with the candy deal?
Am I in trouble? I just want a candy bar. That's extra apple.
Okay, so he just gave you some great information. I just want a candy bar. Dad said I could have one, right? So is somebody that's going to steal a candy bar really care whether Dad said he could have it or not? Right? So there's some information pieces that we got to paying attention to.
I just called Dad. You can use my phone.
Let's call Dad.
Let's call Dad then. Hello, this is Officer McMahon. I'm here to report to you, like, your son is actually wants to buy a candy bar from the place.
It seems to be the problem, officer.
Tell him we're just trying to figure that
Yeah,
out.
we're just trying to figure out the whole scenario here, so we're just kind of like, just making sure nothing actually goes bad here. Can we just...
It's okay, officer. Same thing for the candy. Turn on.
Wow.
Yay! He did. He did a great job.
That was kind of a little nervous for a little bit.
I'm Officer Amanda. I understand this is your home.
I don't have nowhere else to go. This is my home.
So what did you think about that so far?
I thought it was amazing and much different than I thought it would be. Because like me, like I have autism, like it's good for people to know the different scenarios of how people have autism, like how they would react.
We're trying to.
So like I would say like
separating.
don't like if there is a person with autism, see if the parent can be there with them.
That's a really good point. I like that.
Like even for police officers, like in the video, like can we call your mom?
For me, one of the very prevalent still is traveling through airports. But one of the difficulties I have is that I from the onset of security to the other side, I know that I have to focus on how nervous I am, and I know I'm being watched. I typically, because I have a lot of tattoos, I know I'm likely to be searched, and I would say it's a 70 to 80% chance that I will. So I know I'm going to be touched, and I have to like that. I can't prepare for, even though I think I am. It's actually mounting, and so it becomes a very I basically feel like a, for lack of a better word, a ticking time bomb in the airport.
I want to know if you're in that circumstance, have you ever self-identified and told them specifically, as part of me being on the spectrum, I need to let you know you touching me creates some discomfort?
The absolute worst scenario I've ever been in was when I made point of it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, not a good experience at all. Police. By the time the police are there, I cannot control how rude I am. I want to. I tell myself, what the hell are you doing right now?
What can they do to prevent that from happening? So when you tell them, I have an issue with being touched, and what could their response be that would lead it to a positive experience?
Well, so I usually I try to tell them I'm autistic, but I'm mad. I'm just.
I know it's not technically impulse control, but it kind of is, because it's your emotions are right there, and you can't get out of that scenario.
Now, how would you like to be treated differently, but still be security checked?
Right.
I know for me, when I'm getting really upset, my voice rises, and
Okay.
I'm not yelling at the person, but my voice is rising because I'm frustrated and I don't know what to do. And in my head, I know I need to calm down, but I can't seem to calm myself down. In dealing with other situations, if they can remain calm and not raise their voice, not get too close and just say, okay, here, and this is basically a best practices kind of thing when dealing with people, saying, okay, so we're trying to deal with this problem, this is what I need to do. That helps me calm down when the other person can stay calm despite my rising voice.
Yeah. So overarching thought I had is that I think the longer people of us have been on this planet, the more masking skills and the more coping skills we've developed. And I think it would be, in general, on average, more difficult to identify an adult with autism than the actors we've seen in those scenarios.
Right.
So I think that would definitely be something to keep in mind.
Masking is one of those things where there's a certain amount of energy allotment that's going towards it, and I may be trying to like hell to get through security so that I can find a corner. Actually, I already know I am. I in my head know where I'm going to recharge in that corner, and that is all I want to get to. So if it's some way maybe they can find what that person has in their mind,
So it sounds like we definitely need to touch on situations where anxiety levels could be higher because we have crowds, we have maybe touching, we have to stand around amongst large groups of people that might be a little bit loud.
And I remember specifically being in elementary school. I remember specifically being in a public elementary school of thousands of thousands of kids, thousands. I was that kid in class who would scream and cry every single time a fire alarm went off, and specifically, it was both combination of the noise and the fact that someone didn't tell me first. So one of the things that was running through my mind while I was watching the law enforcement simulation is, I was thinking, why isn't there something similar for public school teachers in the public school system? It sounds like how can they be trained to respond to behavior stimulus or stimulated behavior, specifically during unexpected events like fire alarm, fire drills and stuff like that.
I'm happy to say with confidence that I'm this is a really remarkable project to see what VirTra has actually done, which I think is absolutely remarkable, and I would love to see more developments come out of them in the near future.
I thought it was really, really cool. I thought the whole immersion really brings it to life in a way that you don't get when it's just a 2-panel screen. I also thought that there was a lot of attention to detail that was very valuable for law enforcement officers or TSA agents and that sort of thing.
This is so revolutionary. What I kept wondering while I was watching the whole simulation is was why didn't someone think of this before? Because I think because I can see programs such as the one here at VirTra expanding out to help other communities and like other branching out to like help officers interact with like, other communities.
I thought it was amazing to watch them be able to be in the simulator, asking questions. I saw many of them pull out their phones and videoing it, and asked a couple of them what they thought, and they were like, this is amazing. Like, we'd want to have this for police officers or teachers or anybody else that you have available. And I just watching them interact with the technology, watching them volunteer and to actually go through one of the scenarios and receive some coaching and put themselves in the police officers' area was pretty cool to watch as well. But what I'm really proud of the relationship we have with VirTra that, invites people with autism in, that's open to hearing their feedback and getting their perspective, and wants to use and leverage the information that they have for the next phase of this project. Well, I'd like to see that every police officer in the country has got access to what VirTra is offering and has been through our project team. That's what's ultimately going to keep people with autism and police officers, for that matter, safe. And the opportunity to have that in as many places as possible with a really good content, and now adding subject matter experts that are not just people that work with people with autism, but people with autism themselves.